She hurt you, and deep down she knows it. But what she doesn't know, what's going to wake her up, is how you respond. Not with anger, not with chasing, not with weakness, but with a powerful, unsettling silence and a transformation so undeniable that she has no choice but to feel your absence in her bones. Comment "I choose power" if you're done being disposable. This isn't for the man looking for sympathy. This is for the man who's done begging for love. This is for the man who has been lied to, ghosted, manipulated, strung along, and still wakes up wanting to become better. She pulled back. She questioned your worth. She played with your emotions, assuming you'd stay no matter what. Today, we flip the script. You're not here to fix her. You're here to become the man she no longer has access to. If this message hits, support this channel, because every time you do, you help another man who's broken, confused, and walking alone finally wake up. You help him find his power, and maybe even save his life. Number 1, don't react. She pulled away, and your first instinct is to chase. But what if I told you your silence is the loudest, most powerful answer you will ever give? When she tests you, disrespects you, lies, ghosts you, withdraws affection, or plays emotional ping pong, it's not random. It's psychological warfare disguised as mixed signals. She wants to see what kind of man you truly are, not the one smiling in photos, not the one paying the bill, but the one standing tall when his heart has been punched in the chest. She wants to know whether you stay grounded when she pulls the rug out. Most men fail here. Most men panic, beg, explain themselves, over-communicate, send late-night emotional texts, and try to fix everything. And what happens? She loses respect fast. Because if you don't respect yourself enough to walk away from disrespect, how could she ever respect you? In the exact moment your soul wants to scream, you say nothing. You step back. You go silent, not because you're weak, but because you're choosing strength over noise. You're choosing to be rare in a world filled with reactive men. You're choosing to master the moment, not be mastered by it. This starts a chain reaction that transforms not only your relationships, but your entire life. This is not about playing games. This is about choosing dignity. Because the man who cannot control himself under emotional fire will always be controlled by someone else. So you learn to do what most men can't. Stay still when everything in you wants to move. And in that stillness, you don't reread her messages or refresh her social media. You redirect your energy into your mission. You take that emotional voltage and fuel your evolution. The pain in your chest, don't numb it, transform it. Channel that fire into your body, your discipline, your learning, your side hustle, your mind, your growth. A strong body creates a strong mind. A strong man doesn't beg for love. He becomes the man love is drawn to but cannot manipulate. A man who lifts doesn't carry emotional dead weight. A man who runs through pain doesn't panic when she goes silent. A man who builds his money, knowledge, and intention becomes untouchable. Soon she notices your shift. She wonders where you went. She wonders why you've changed. That curiosity is when her attraction returns and your value multiplies. But at that point, you're no longer waiting for it. You're no longer waiting for her. You're too busy becoming a stronger version of yourself. Because this was never about her. She was the catalyst. She was the lesson. But the message was always the same. You are not a man because of what you have. You are a man because of what you can walk away from. You can walk away from chaos, cheap love, and manipulation disguised as affection. And when you walk tall. No speeches, no explanations, no "we need to talk." You simply disappear from her life like calm after a storm. When she realizes you're not just physically gone, but emotionally gone, it haunts her. You don't give her closure. She must sit with the consequences of losing a man who once gave her everything and then chose himself. That's when you become her biggest regret. Not because you played games, but because you became the man she thought she could control and learned she never could. And this principle applies everywhere. Don't react when your boss disrespects you. Upgrade your skill set and become too valuable to ignore. Don't react when friends flake. Build a circle of men who keep their word. Don't react to life's chaos. Rise above it and architect your own order. Life is not about avoiding storms. It's about building a ship strong enough to sail through them. You do this by making your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Any man can yell. Any man can spiral. Any man can send emotional texts. But it takes real strength to stay composed when everything feels like it's collapsing. That is where masculine energy is forged. That is where real power is built, not in comfort or validation, but in your ability to suffer in silence and still rise at dawn, still train, still build, still honor your values. Every time you choose control over chaos, you level up. Every time you walk instead of beg, you reclaim your crown. Every time you close your mouth and open your notebook, you build the version of you no woman will ever play with again. The world feels it. She feels it. Opportunities appear. Your presence changes. You walk into a room with the energy of a man who isn't seeking validation, because he already knows he's the prize. That is the man women chase. The man who doesn't chase them. The man who has presence, calm, and emotional stability. The man too busy becoming dangerous in silence to post about his pain. You become this man not by studying her, but by studying yourself, your fears, addictions, and excuses, and eliminating them one by one. You journal each morning. You cold plunge to harden your mind. You box to channel your rage. You meditate for sharp focus. You read Stoic texts like a soldier reading war strategy. Marcus Aurelius didn't flinch when empires crumbled because his mind was a fortress. You want better women? Build a better you. You want loyalty? Be loyal to your future self. You want peace? Get disciplined, because peace isn't found, it's earned. And here's the truth they'll never tell you. The moment you stop reacting and start building, you become unforgettable. She won't say it, but she'll feel it in every silence, in every post you ignore, in every conversation she wishes she could have, but knows she never will again. And when she reaches out, if she does, you won't feel anything. Not because you're numb, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that used to care. You become the kind of man who never goes backward. The kind of man who doesn't need to prove he was right. The kind of man who lets his results speak. A man so rooted in who he is that no woman's attention can shake him. You don't win by being louder. You win by being better, not bitter, not broken, but rebuilt through solitude and crowned in purpose. And that's when everything changes, not just your relationships, but your entire life. Because once you master your emotions, you master your decisions. Master your decisions, and you master your outcomes. Master your outcomes, and you stop being at the mercy of women, jobs, society, anything. You don't need permission to be powerful anymore. You are power, and it all begins the moment you stop reacting. Comment, I choose power, if you're done reacting. If you're ready to turn pain into a fortress. If you're ready to walk away from anyone who treats you as replaceable. Because you finally know you're not. The reaction ends here. The rise begins now. Your silence is the message. Your results are the response. Your life is the proof. Number 2, let her wonder. The moment she doesn't hear from you, her imagination becomes your loudest voice. And that silence is no accident. It's power. She expected you to react, to chase, to beg, to spiral. But what she never anticipated is the deafening quiet that now surrounds her. The kind that makes her question everything she thought she knew about you. And in that void, your power begins to multiply, not because you disappeared, but because you reappeared somewhere she can't reach, in your potential. In her mind, she had control. She was the sun, and you were supposed to revolve around her warmth. But when you went silent, when you didn't plead, didn't even flinch, you shattered the orbit, you broke the cycle. And now she's spinning because you're no longer part of her solar system. You're the black hole she underestimated, and now she's drawn in by the gravity of your absence. Let her wonder who you've become. Let her wonder what you're doing, who you're with, where your mind is. Because the truth is, When you stop broadcasting your life, she starts questioning her place in it. She begins analyzing the silence, asking herself questions she was too arrogant to ask before. Did I lose him for good? Has he moved on? Why doesn't he care anymore? That spiral of uncertainty isn't punishment. It's a mirror. It forces her to look at her choices, her words, her games. And for the first time, she's not in control of the outcome. That's the power of letting her wonder. It puts her in your old seat, the one where you used to wait and overthink and feel worthless. Now it's her turn. This shift is not about revenge. It's about correction. You don't let her wonder to make her suffer. You let her wonder so she can finally feel the weight of what she's lost. Because nothing changes a person faster than the fear of losing someone who was once unshakably present. You were consistent. You were reliable. You were available. But those things became invisible to her. They were taken for granted. So now, when your presence becomes a memory, she starts to question everything. Not because you yelled, not because you argued, but because you vanished with quiet strength. Psychologically, uncertainty is more painful than rejection. When someone knows you're gone, they grieve. But when they're unsure, when they think you might still care but you show no signs, they obsess. They watch your status. They scroll through your photos. They read old messages. They ask mutual friends questions they're too proud to ask you directly. And each time they don't find answers, the wonder grows. It becomes a slow, echoing panic that never quite dies. You become a haunting what if. And there's nothing more powerful than becoming a what if in the mind of a woman who thought she had you figured out. But for this to work, your silence must be sincere. You don't go silent just to get her back. You go silent because you no longer accept confusion as currency in your relationships. You don't let people toy with your emotions. You don't respond to chaos. You don't participate in drama. You become rare. And rare things are not loud. They don't explain themselves. They don't chase validation. They allow the world to recognize their value or lose access. When you let her wonder, you're not hoping she comes back. You're giving yourself the space to outgrow who you were when you tolerated less. You don't watch her stories. You don't check who she's dating. You don't try to decode her silence. You use every ounce of that tension to deepen your purpose, expand your discipline, and elevate your presence. Because when a man truly lets go, something shifts in his soul. He stops seeing her as the center of his story. He stops feeling like he needs to prove his worth, and instead, he becomes consumed by the pursuit of his own greatness. That greatness speaks louder than any message you could have sent. It shows in your posture, your peace, your focus. It becomes a frequency she can't tune out. Even if you never speak again, she's wondering, because she's finally realizing something. You were not weak, you were patient. You were not desperate, you were loyal. You were not chasing, you were choosing. And now you're choosing something bigger than her, yourself. That choice radiates. It infects every aspect of your life. You start making decisions based on who you're becoming, not who you're trying to win back. You take bigger risks. You raise your standards. You upgrade your environment. Because when you stop chasing people, you start chasing vision. And vision pulls you out of the cage you didn't even know you were in. She'll notice, she'll feel it. In the way you don't flinch at her name, in the way your social media goes dark, then re-emerges with quiet power, in the way your mutuals start talking about how different you seem, and maybe she'll try to test you again. A hey text, a random like, a call that seems casual, but it's not. It's her trying to escape the question she's been asking every day since you went silent. What if he's really done? You are. Not because you hate her, but because you finally love yourself. That love is not loud. It's not flashy. It's disciplined. It's consistent. It's respectful. You treat your time like it's sacred. You treat your peace like it's priceless. And you treat yourself like a king, not the kind who needs a throne, but the kind who doesn't beg for a seat at anyone's table. Let her wonder how you became this man. Let her wonder what changed. Let her wonder if she was the reason you finally chose yourself. And in that wonder, let her come face to face with her own reflection. Because sometimes, The best way to teach someone the value of your presence is through the pain of your absence. You don't teach by correcting her. You teach by correcting you, your habits, your standards, your focus. And in doing so, you become the man she thought she had forever. Only now, you're not available anymore. And that's when everything shifts. Not just for her, but for you. Because the more she wonders, the less you do. You stop obsessing over what she's doing. You stop trying to decode mixed signals. You stop trying to fix what broke you. You stop needing closure from people who aren't capable of giving it. You become free, not just from her, but from the version of yourself that tolerated confusion, accepted half-love, and begged for breadcrumbs of affection. That man no longer exists. You buried him in the silence. You replaced him with someone who demands clarity, commands respect, and walks in purpose. That transformation is irreversible. Once you taste the power of letting her wonder, you never go back to being reactive. You never go back to chasing texts. You never go back to losing sleep over someone who sleeps fine without you. You become emotionally independent. You become spiritually grounded. You become the mystery she never solves, but never forgets. So let her wonder. Let her fantasize. Let her replay your words and regret the games. While she's caught in the loop of what could have been, you're living what is. You're in the gym. You're mastering new skills. You're speaking with purpose. You're surrounding yourself with people who lift you. You're not healing. You're ascending. You're not trying to move on. You've already moved up. And from this new altitude, the view is clear. She was never the destination. She was the detour that made you realize where you truly belong. It means you choose discernment over desperation. You stop engaging in patterns that leave you empty. You stop chasing people who thrive off your reaction. You stop making someone else's emotional chaos your personal project, because it's not your job to fix someone who benefits from being broken, especially when your attention is the fuel that keeps them playing. Let her flirt in front of you to get a rise. Let her post cryptic captions that scream for attention. Let her throw her confusion at you like a grenade. You don't flinch. Because the man who doesn't flinch is the man she re-watches in her head every night, wondering why he didn't take the bait. And in that wondering, she begins to realize something. You're not trying to win her. You're trying to win you. You're playing a different game now. A game of legacy, of power, of purpose. And that game has no room for emotional reaction. Every second you used to spend decoding her intentions, you now spend crafting your own future. You're not worried about her new guy. You're too busy becoming someone she couldn't keep, even if she tried. You're not angry about the way she treated you, because you're channeling every drop of pain into something productive. A man who's locked into his mission cannot be manipulated. His self-respect is non-negotiable. His boundaries are clear. His focus is sharper than her tests. And when she sees that, she either levels up or disappears. But that's not your concern anymore. Because the moment you stop playing her game, you stop being a pawn and start becoming a king. And kings don't argue with jesters. Kings don't explain themselves to those who test them. Kings don't chase. They build. They protect their peace. They advance without asking permission, and in doing so, they become the very thing no one can toy with, a man with options. A man who has options never fears losing one. He's not impressed by attention. He's not moved by drama. He's not eager to prove himself to someone who couldn't appreciate him the first time. And this isn't arrogance, it's clarity. You're not better than her. You've just grown beyond the game. You've outgrown manipulation. You've outgrown codependence. You've outgrown the false belief that her validation defines your masculinity. It doesn't. Your discipline does. Your direction does. Your decisions do. So the next time she pulls a stunt to get a rise out of you, you don't explain. You don't retaliate. You don't chase. You let her realize she's no longer holding the strings, that you've cut every thread that tied your worth to her approval. And in that realization, she will either evolve or evaporate. Either way, you win because your worth was never hers to define. You stop playing her game when you realize you were never supposed to be a player. You were meant to build the board. You were meant to create the rules. You were meant to live by a standard that cannot be shaken by attention or rejection. And when you do that, when you live with that level of unshakable clarity, the game ends. Not because you lost, but because you outgrew it. Number 4, replace her with purpose. You don't need closure. You don't need answers. You don't need her apology. You need a mission so big, so magnetic, that the void she left becomes the spark that lights up your entire life. When a woman pulls away, when she walks out, when she plays the game of detachment, she's expecting you to collapse inward, not expand outward. She expects you to fold into regret, to shrink, to lose your edge. But what she never sees coming is the man who turns his heartbreak into horsepower. You've been conditioned to believe that your value in life is determined by who chooses to love you. But when you start replacing her with purpose, you realize the opposite is true. Your value isn't confirmed by love. It's revealed through your direction. Most men think moving on means finding someone new. That's not evolution. That's distraction. That's why they end up repeating the same cycle with a different name and face. You don't become great by finding someone to fill her space. You become great by expanding the space until she no longer fits inside it. You make her absence irrelevant by building a world she has no place in. Replacing her with purpose means understanding that everything you feel is fuel. The grief, the betrayal, the silence, the confusion, all of it. That pain is not your enemy. It's your ignition. Most men burn in it. The rare man burns through it. And you do that by choosing what you build next. Not who you date, not who you text, not who fills the bed, but what you become. You make a decision, not out of ego, not out of anger, but out of clarity. My life will never revolve around anyone who walked away from me again. That's when everything changes. You stop chasing highs. You start chasing depth. You stop seeking pleasure. You start seeking meaning. You stop settling for a comfortable life and start building a consequential one. When you replace her with purpose, you become unrecognizable to the man she thought you were, because suddenly your energy isn't split between proving yourself and pursuing your greatness. It's laser-focused. It's fierce. It's relentless. You're no longer the man who waits. You're no longer the man who wonders. You're no longer the man who reacts to her silence. You're the man who's too busy moving forward to hear it. And the beauty of purpose is that it doesn't flirt with your self-esteem. It doesn't ghost you when it's bored. It doesn't test you. It rewards you. It refines you. It builds you into a man who is defined by vision, not validation. That purpose may come in the form of a business, a skill, a calling, a message, a mission. But whatever it is, it demands your full energy, not the fractured, desperate attention of a man waiting for her to come back. And let's be clear, this isn't about numbing yourself. It's about elevating yourself. You don't ignore the pain. You channel it. You look it in the face and say, "Thank you, you woke me up." Because here's the truth that changes everything. The version of you that she left behind was too small for the life you're meant to build. And now you build without permission. You build without fear. You build like your future depends on it, because it does. When you replace her with purpose, you stop waking up with emptiness. You wake up with direction. You start speaking differently, moving differently, thinking differently, and people start noticing, especially her. She might not say it, but she'll feel it. The man who once chased her now walks ahead of her, not because he wants revenge, but because he finally knows where he's going. You don't pause your life waiting to be chosen. You choose yourself. You choose your health, your mastery, your financial freedom, your contribution, your leadership. You become the man who wakes up at 5 a.m., not to prove something, but because the world you're building won't build itself. You become the man who stops wasting weekends getting drunk over her memory and starts using that time to sharpen his mind, expand his network, and fortify his legacy. You become the man who doesn't need loud motivation because purpose whispers to him every morning. And one day she'll scroll. She'll see what you've become. She'll see how far you've gone. She'll realize the man who once asked, "What did I do wrong?" is now the man asking questions the world can't stop answering. But you won't flinch, because when you replace her with purpose, you don't look back. Not because you hate her, but because you love your future more than your past. That's the level of growth that changes your bloodline. That's the fire that turns a broken man into a builder. That's the path of kings. So stop trying to replace her with another woman. Replace her with something that scares you, something that stretches you, something that demands everything from you and gives tenfold in return. You want to heal? Build. You want peace? Commit to something that outlasts your emotions. You want power? Stand on a foundation she can't shake because she's not part of it. Your legacy is not a text thread. It's not a situationship. It's not a second chance from someone who didn't see you the first time. It's built in the shadows with blood, discipline, hunger, vision. And one day, when the noise fades, when you're standing on the platform of the life you created from scratch, you'll smile because you'll know she didn't ruin me. She revealed me. She gave you the void. You chose what to fill it with. You were never meant to beg. You were never meant to break over someone who couldn't see your worth. You were meant to build, to lead, to conquer. Everything she took from you, you can get back and more by stepping into the life that was waiting for you to stop chasing and start creating. You don't rise by being chosen. You rise by choosing yourself. And the moment you do, you become the man she can't reach, the man the world starts to notice, and the man you were always meant to become. Comment "I choose power" if this spoke to your soul. Subscribe if you're done being a version of yourself built for someone else's approval. Support this channel so we can reach more men who are lost, stuck, or broken and help them reclaim their power.